Just tweeting out that we are live now, folks. Welcome to Late Night Inks Live. Gonna be getting started in just one moment here. Once again, if you're just joining us, I'm just tweeting out that we are live. All right, Ty Ion, how you doing, buddy? I see Colin in there. All right, I'm gonna hit go on this. We're gonna play the intro and then we'll get started. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way. Nothing's gonna hold us back now. Straight ahead and on the track. Gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way. Hey homies, what's up? Welcome to Late Night Inks Live. Thank you all for joining. Holy crap, we got Jay Krager in the house. Jason Krager, everyone. Go look him up on the Twitter. Check out his book Hammer, not to be confused with Hammerella. Both badass babes with hammers, but completely different premise from completely different dudes, but equally awesome. Jason's an old friend. He's a fantastic illustrator. He's one of my favorite creators. Whether I knew him or not, he would be one of my favorite comic creators. So you guys know how picky I am. Go check out Jason's book. I believe it's still in demand. If so, if not, say so, Jason. We got my wrench, Ty Iron Ranger, another awesome indie creator. Follow him on Twitter. He's a good friend. Colin Swinburne, always welcome. Christopher John, hello, welcome. And everyone pay attention to Colin Swinburne's stories. They're great. What we got here, this is the original inks to the Hammerella cover. Hammerella is a book right now that I am creating that's tied to the Gods and Gears universe. It is currently in demand or available on Indiegogo. We are 25 days away from closing. We are just at 79%. So check that out with the link below. I'll get back to that a little later. So things we are working on. We still have G.I. Doughboy that we're working on. I may hit this up a little tonight with pencil, but I'm kind of wanting to get right to inks and get back to what we started last night, which is part 1 of our Shazam 4-piece sketch cover extravaganza. Show the whole thing really quick. We have the old wizard saying all the words, yelling at the boy. The boy's going to say something snarky. Billy, he's going to start to say Shazam. He's going to say Sha. Then we got the Zam and a lightning bolt. Zam. And then we got Captain Marvel / Shazam. Whatever you want to call them these days. So we're going to be inking this up this week. And to warm up, I usually, bore you guys by filling up a blank sheet with brush marks. But since I already did that today, we're going to break right into slinging ink on the board. All right, we're going to be using Stinger, our trusty 8404 from Raphael. She's a size 2, and boy, is she sharp. I'll tell you what. I think I'm going to adjust the camera really quick. I'm going to do that so you guys don't get nauseous from me moving the camera around too much. I realized that in one of the other videos that was a little jarring. So here we go. We'll try this out. All right, here we go. So load up the brush 2/3 to halfway. Have a little scratch paper on the side to sharpen it up for you. And then let's get to inking. A little bit of extra water there. Watch out for that. All right, the brush is pretty loaded up, so I'm going to hold it straight up and down. And that's going to mean the least amount of surface area contact. So we're just going to be dragging the finest hairs across there. And he's got these beat up old craggly steps that lead up to his beat up old craggly throne. So we're going to go ahead and break up these lines and make it all feel like it's all chiselly and craggly and oldie. I will catch up to the snarky comments in the chat soon. All right, the brush is bouncing very nicely for me. You never know how things are going to work on these old sketch covers too, because these have been packed in boxes and the tooth on the board wears down. And that doesn't necessarily mean it translates to like, oh, just smoother board. It means the fibers are compressed and they're less likely to absorb the ink in the same way. But so far, so good. I was really happy last night with the way the brush marker took to this. I still have to erase it, so it'll actually clean up quite a bit once it's erased. All right, let's keep going with these steps. I'll finish up the steps and then I'll get to the comments. If you're just getting here, this is a Shazam 4-part sketch cover I'm working on. It's not for a commission. It will be available for sale when I'm done. This is just a piece I wanted to do for fun. I had a couple of these covers in my sketch cover collection. I actually drew it a couple months ago, but then once we started getting ready for the with the Hammerella campaign, well, that's where all my focus went. All right, this looks all dry, so I'm gonna risk it and cut over here a little bit. Because, you know, normally I'm telling you guys avoid those wet points. And we're gonna have some fun with the brush texture here pretty soon. So I got the steps coming down, and I'm gonna sort of create a zigzaggy path that kind of leads to Billy here. Do do do, shoopy do. Yeah, almost like it's a raised stone walkway, but just maybe a couple feet off the ground. We'll have this sort of action leading up these little sloping sides. There we go. And we're gonna do a similar thing over here. This looks all dry. And when you're doing organic material like this, feel free to, you know, loosen up a little with the brush. Even if you're a clean line style artist, when you're doing organic material, it can sometimes pay off to get a little rough with the stuff, get a little loose, and it pushes nicely against your cleaner line work. In the same way that in animation, they'll sometimes paint the background and it'll look like a real painting with texture and color variations and things like that, while the animated figures are clean line with clean color, and it still works. You know, you can kind of mimic that a little. All right, so we'll leave this here. I'm gonna scroll through, see who we got, see what you guys are saying. Hello, Josh R. Good old homie Josh R. Hello. This is a no snark zone, which in itself is a snarky lie. All right, Eric Housel, welcome. Edwin. Yes, everyone, do as Edwin's name says and sign up for the 8th mailing list. Great looking book. Get in on that. I'm going to be promoting that when I start doing my Abe, excuse me, my Abe Felderman videos for Indie Comics News. Trying to put the first video together for this weekend, and then hopefully going to make it a semi-regular occurrence throughout the week. What snarky comments? I'm being good tonight. Yeah, good tonight. And good right so far. We'll see. We'll see. Hey, Simon and Seven. Welcome. Just watching the humble tracer. Ink King. Yeah, know your place, citizen. All right, cool. So let's get back to this. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for watching. Links in the chat, or links in the description right now, are for the Geronimo Draws channel, which is Robert Geronimo's channel. And once a week, I'm going to be over there doing a live draw battle with the boys. And we're going to be doing those at Tuesday, 5 Eastern. And we've already done 2, and they were super fun. There's also a link for Death Curse, which is, I don't know if they're calling it Death Curse Radio or podcast, but that is Kayla, Jeff, and Spencer's, Kayla and Jeff on Spencer's channel. And I join them sometimes, and Kevin Castanero joins as well sometimes. So there's a link there, and their book, City of Rot, just funded and just closed. All right, let me know if you guys think I should zoom in more. Screw it, I think I should. I realize now I forgot to put a link for Wirehead, which is Robert Geronimo and Mike O'Shea's cybernetic slasher comic. It's on Indiegogo right now. It's now that City of Rot is funded, it's my #1 book I want to start pushing. Excuse me. It looks like the perfect 80s slasher horror movie, and the character Wirehead is super fun to draw. He's super fun to look at. He's so iconic already. It seems like they must have found some old movie that was never released and just copied it, because seriously, it seems so classic already. And that's a compliment, by the way. All right, so I'm going to do a little extra rendering in here, but the idea is the darkest edges are going to be pushed up against the edge of these steps, so that you almost have this like white pushing against this black. Then it also helps just lead you up, and literally the shadows wrap around the guy's head. So it's sort of simple tricks in composition. You know what, I'm going to leave that. I was going to add some details back there. We're going to load up the brush a little more. Finish up these steps. I really want to get to Billy. I don't want to rush this stuff, though. Awesome. Thank you, Ty. Yes. Ty is Awesome Wrench. He put the link in the chat for Wirehead. Even if you don't have the funds to back a book right now, just go check out Wirehead. It's so cool looking. Maybe in a bit, after I get some work done here, if we're still going, I'll pull up my print that I did for Wirehead. I did sort of a They Live. I was inspired by They Live and excuse me, Friday the 13th. All right, these lines sort of just represent like chunks taken out of these steps. throughout the years. Bits of rock. I'm going to go back in with a pen too and add little bits of rock and debris everywhere. Yeah, I spent years doing backgrounds for John Livesey, Joe Weems, Danny Mickey, and I still love doing backgrounds. It was funny. It was always the stuff they hated doing. They're like, do the panel borders. I'm like, yeah, I don't mind doing that. The panel borders are sort of the magic frame that you create that everything happens in. So I'm like, hey, that's cool. I can do that. And they're like, fill in all the black shapes. I hate doing that. I'm like, all right. That's mindless, easy stuff. Take a smoke and fill in some black shapes. Easy peasy. Give me my money. And then, they all hated using rulers and they all hated doing buildings. And I freaking love doing all of that. I think some of my favorite buildings were when I was working for Livesey, we inked Howard Porter on The Flash. Issues like, God, we did like issues 200 through 224 or something like that. It was for a couple years we were on there. And I did all the buildings and backgrounds on that run. And yeah, Howard Porter's buildings were really fun. They were very similar to like David Finch's, but they were super clean. I really liked inking David Finch's backgrounds too, or any of the sort of top cow guys. Benitez, Mark, even Wills. The little bit of inking I did over Wills was really fun. I'll pull out some of those originals sometime. All right, these are too big. Not too happy with those, but I gotta let them sit for a bit. I'm gonna give myself some water. Inking and talking drives me up. All right, I think we're gonna do this little energy burst here, and then we're gonna move over to Billy, because that's really what I want to ink, and it's gonna be fun to throw some of those big lines. So before we do that, let's do this energy burst. So with energy, even though it's a light burst and the light's coming from the center, I still treat it like it's a dimensional piece. And again, I should have done the staff first, but I'm a little undecided on what I want to do with the staff. So what I mean by dimensional is I'm going to go heavier on the undersides of this and thinner on the top sides. The light burst itself is not affected by the light it's creating. And I'm not exactly sure why this works. It was something Weems taught me, and at first you do what your bosses, your mentors say, and then when you see it in effect, you can decide if you like it or not. And for me, it always worked. I was like, you know what? There's something about giving the light burst dimension that makes it pop off the page a little more. Excuse me. And then we'll break up these lines as they are hit with more light, and I want that scene to sort of fade out, and we move on to Billy, who's in the foreground. So they're in the chamber. It's hard to see. It's kind of bright. Let me. Killing that light helps. They're in the chamber with the wizard. Dimensional piece? You're crazy, Ryan. Interdimensional. Right. Is there an artist you had to ink for that didn't agree with the way you like to ink? Yeah, that happened a few times. It was usually really subtle things. There's been times where it was as subtle as, can you just go a little bolder on all the shapes, like, or on the outlines of all the people. Maybe I was going too thin on the highlight areas, and they were like, hey, can you just just beef that up because they wanted the overall image to pop more. I did have times where there were artists that wanted me to add tons of rendering to weird places, like in the backgrounds to things. You know, you'd have a face shot here, and they'd want me to do all sorts of crazy cross-hatching right here in this weird spot to create an effect that I don't think they knew what they were going for. I think they were trying to copy something they'd seen and didn't understand. So there were times like that. Most of the disagreements you end up having with pencilers are over things like, and these will be examples from my life, is pencilers lying about what they've sent you so that they can try to buy more time with the editor. And then you possibly look like a liar until they say, "Oh, I made a mistake, sorry." I've had that happen a few times, and that was really annoying. And then I had a penciler who wanted me to ink blue line over him. He wanted me to print up the images, which at the time I hated doing. And he still wanted a third of the pages back as if they were originals. And he didn't like that I told him that he'd have to print them up and send them to me if he wanted me to treat it like they were originals. That if I was going to print them up myself, I was going to keep all the pages. And that's because as an inker, you usually only keep 1/3 of them unless you print them up and do blue line. Then you can just keep them all. But this cat wanted all the pages. And I was like, well, then you can print them up and send them to me. And he actually did. All right, so there are some wet points here. Eric Housel, good question, buddy. Did you ever get "Please Fix My Anatomy"? Yes, I've gotten that plenty of times. You know, again, I don't want to name names for whiny stuff like that, but yeah, I've had some pencilers that they were. Sometimes it's a friend, and they're just like, "Hey, can you help me out? I had to rush here, and can you help me with this or that?" And then sometimes you have a guy, they're like, "Oh, hey man, you're really good at doing lighting and shading. Can you handle this?" And when I was younger, I would be like, "Oh yeah, let me, hey, big time penciler, let me do a bunch of this work for you, not get paid extra, but think I'm doing myself a favor somehow." Meanwhile, you're just like, "Sweet, I got this guy to make me look better, and I didn't have to pay him anything to do it." The editors don't always know that kind of stuff's going on. So a lot of that stuff in the beginning that I would not do now. A lot of times it was fixed. It's mostly fixed my backgrounds. That's what it usually was. Fix my backgrounds and add extra hatching. All right, normally I do the contours first, but the brush is starting to lose some ink. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to hit some of the thin lines around the image. Sorry, hit the camera there. Before I load up the ink again. All right, I'm going to load up the ink again here. What's the common anatomy fixes? Usually people mess up armpits and one of the hands on a character. It's always like one good hand and they like give up on the second. And there's always the back foot when characters are running and they're running at you, the foot that's going away. They tend to rush that. That tends to be a standard, like, fix it up for them kind of thing. It's stuff like that. And it's usually stuff towards the end of the deadline or the end of the issue where their eyes are tired, the editor's eyes are tired, my eyes might be tired, so I don't catch some of the stuff. So there's a lot of things that are kind of forgivable about deadlines and stuff, but like for the most part, like the big two comics, they should all be like spell checked and properly edited and stuff like that. And I don't know. We all know how that goes. Oop, getting off frame here. All right, so remember, line up shots. Getting back to the technical part here for a sec. Bring it back to where you want to start, and then fire your shot. Bam, bam. I'm really looking forward to getting this whole piece put together, and then I'm gonna color it all as one long, just one super wide shot image. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go in and let's do this boy's face here. All right, these are going to be, it's basically one curved line that goes all the way around, but we're going to break it down a little. Here we go. Let's break it down. And when you do this kind of thing, again, you're going to line up your shot, you're going to pull back, and you're actually going to start over the other line. Then you can beef up to match. I'm going to come up and clean up those edges because we're going to have a shadow under his chin, so that'll be cleaned up. And there we go. And then here, let's do this, and this will be all black. Mark it in X. All right, we're going to finish up our contours then. This beanie's going to be fun to do. I'm going to get to go in with a pen and do some kind of knit textures on it. Again, no matter what kind of artist you are, if you're clean, you're rough, you're loose, you're tight, don't be afraid to mix up textures in your imagery. Not everything has to be created with the same lines or markings. Sometimes it just works out better or works out good for people, but I see a lot of people are afraid of that, and it creates a flatness to your image, even if you're doing tons of rendering and shadows and stuff like that. All right, how are you going to color them? I'm not sure if I'm going to color off a scan or a photo yet, but I'm definitely going to be coloring it in Procreate. But I will be doing things like probably removing the logo and, I don't know, painting the background different. I don't know. I'm going to do something when I remove the logo. Oh, dang, we got 15 people in here. All right, I'll keep working. All right, and thank you, Ty, again, for the Wirehead link. Yes, Colin, I agree. It's such a cool looking book. We got artist Justin Holton in the house. I recommend looking him up on Instagram and giving him a follow. He does his tutorials and his actual art pieces. He posts all of that, like his own personal tutorials, like things he's going through, his practices, exercises, things like that. All right, I'm giving one more pass. Oh, hey, Ara Jelenian. What is up? One of my favorite people in the world. Hey, Ara. See, you can see why he's one of my favorite people. No, not just because he says nice things, but he is a genuine nice fella. I always tell people I got a postcard from him here, sort of in my good luck wall, right above my computer and my desk. Or cool things people have sent me, I display. All right, let's get some bouncy lines here where you got these sort of poofs in his beanie, the ridges. And that's almost like a chisel effect, kind of using the side of the brush. And here we can go heavier. And I can connect these further. Right now I'm kind of breaking the lines up just to make sure I get the right bounce. If I need to connect lines. You can always go back in and do that stuff later, especially stuff like, where it goes, this beanie meets the ear. I stopped short, but we can beef those up there. Connect and beef. Connect and beef. There's a connection, and there's our beef. That's what I mean by beef is beefing up the line, thickening it up. All right, I'm going to rinse off the brush. Wipe a bunch of that water off on a paper towel on the side. Excess water. Dip in the brush about 2/3 to halfway. I use an ink jar in the beginning. I recommend people use like an open bowl for like a watercolor tray where you can actually see the ink. I'm used to how far I dip the brush with how much ink is in the jar, and that can throw off your whole game when you're trying to just learn how to use a brush. All right, we're gonna go in and do some pretty lines for the hair. Heavy on the undersides, thinner on the top sides. Now I'm gonna do what I call chunks of hair first, because hair sort of breaks up in the same shapes as muscles. And you want to sort of outline their tapered areas, like these big just locks, basically the locks of hair, and then go in and do individual hairs. You don't have to work that way. Sometimes you will see me break my own rules, but for this piece, I want to make sure I do it right. There we go. And here we go on these. Gonna go thin to thick and then really thick on that side. And as we get closer to him, the hair chunks will cross over each other as they overlap behind his neck, or behind his head there. Now, I don't really care about the superhero movies. My nephew's getting older, so that was sort of the thing. I took him to see him, and some of them I liked and some of them I didn't. I actually really liked the Shazam movie. I thought for sure they were going to blow it, and I think it's one of the better comic book movies. It was well acted. It was nice to see something that tried to be charming. They even did the whole thing where like, oh, let me share my powers with the whole like adopted family and this or that, and none of that was heavy-handed in any way whatsoever. It was all sort of heartfelt and pretty cool, actually. Like I said, I was really surprised. I usually just hate everything. Okay. Okay, I said. Okay, we've done our chunks. I've done a few individual hairs here and there, but we're going to go back and do those now. Now, hair is something you're going to have to know. It takes a long time to get good at. Plan a year or 2 or 3, just be like, I'm going to suck at hair for a while. Copy people who do hair that you like, artists that you like. Copy them when you're practicing, especially in your sketchbook. Just copy them. All the greats used to just go to the Louvre and copy the greats that came before them to learn how they did it. And a lot of time people are afraid to copy, even in their own sketchbooks. When I talk to people, they're like, oh, I feel weird that I shouldn't do that. I should just be doing my own thing. And it's like, the artists you love, they copied. It's the only way to learn. That's not the only way, but it's a proven way to learn. I did the same thing. I had read that artists did that, and I had been studying around junior high, I started studying and falling in love with Norman Rockwell's work. And that was something he talked about in one of his books, and I applied that to comics. So I would just copy Art Adams images and Walt Simonson images and try to figure out why they made the choices they made, especially with like rendering and cross-hatching. Like that's really weird, difficult stuff that isn't always necessarily taught well in all the books. Same with perspective. I've read many a perspective book that people are like, oh, this one's so good, and I read it and I'm like, I understand perspective a little, and I didn't get this book. All right, I'm gonna do a little more black there. I like going a little solid around his face because we're gonna be solid there, solid under here, solid around there, and it's gonna frame his face nicely. All right, we're not doing so bad, only 35 minutes in. Oh, hey, take care, Eric. I see Eric's gotta go, gotta get back to work. Definitely watching the replay of this. Thanks so much for stopping by, Eric. Thanks for the questions, and have a good time at work. And I think Simonin must be talking about the Shazam movie, maybe? I don't know. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Non-vegan inking. That's about right. I got meat juices in these inks. All right, dipping the brush, getting back to it. Finish up this boy's hair. Hair club for boys here. All right, gonna go pretty heavy again. Heavy leading up, pushing up against his face, and then we'll loosen up or lighten up on the lines here. Yeah, hair is tricky. I mean, it's something I'm still learning. Even when I start a new piece, I'm like, all right, how's this gonna work out? Especially because I tend to not be super consistent. Sometimes on a piece, I'm like, oh, I want the hair to be, rigid lines or something like this. And some days, like today, I'm like, no, I want this to be flowing and smooth and nice, clean, curvy lines. So I need to commit. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do with Hammerella, link in description, is give myself a project where I can solidify certain style decisions, even if it's just for that project. I want to come up with like cool, consistent ways to do everything that look like me and don't look like I'm directly copying anyone. I do think there's some Hammerella stuff that looks very much like Michael Golden inspired or Art Adams inspired. Not that it's as good, of course, but I think you can look at it and just be like, oh yeah, you're a big fan of that stuff. But I'm still trying to bring my own edge to it. All right, gonna let that dry for a minute, but I wanted to kind of show you what I meant by framing his face with the gray and black of his hair and the black of the shadow there. Colin says, like, I'm not great at it, but I'm no longer scared at trying. I don't know if that's inking or drugs. Oh, heck yeah. William C. Hammerella. Bow, 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 bow. Welcome to the party. As you can see, William C., we got Billy Batson laying down some inks. We did some of the groundwork and background work for the steps that lead up to the throne for the Shazam Wizard. And we're getting back to Billy's shirt, and then we're going to do his face. Billy face. Here we go. Excuse me, William C. is also another great artist. He had some really fun stuff during the Fragtober event. Sounds like a used car dealership event. Come on down to Fragtober. All Fragtober, we got great sales, great deals. Come on down. Do your own drawings. This and that, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, he did some really fun stuff there. And he has, I can't remember now if he did both Geronimo Draws episodes with us. But he did last week where we did sea serpents, and his were badass. Loved them. All right, the brush is pretty loaded up, like some of you out there. So I'm going to be holding it up upright as much as possible. It looks like an angle on the camera, but that's the angle of the camera. So upright as much as possible so that we're really just getting, here, where can I show you? We're really just getting the tip of the brush hitting. So that way, even though the brush is heavy with water and ink, can't mess up that bad. Just barely bear down, thicken it up. There we go. And let's do his space between his teeth here. I don't think I'm going to come in and do tooth lines. Might leave that white. And I will catch up with the chat in a minute. Now that I'm doing this, I gotta stay focused here. Noses were another thing, kind of like hair, where I kind of thought I knew how I wanted to draw noses until I tried to draw a comic, and then when I had to draw them from different angles, they didn't look like the same nose from different angles. So that's when I started kind of deep diving on guys like Capullo and his Spawn stuff, because they were very caricatured, the people in there, especially Sam and Twitch, with lots of great shapes to their head and noses and faces and bodies. And he drew them consistent from panel to panel and from angle to angle, much like a Disney animator would. Because in animation, it's all about shapes. It is in comics too. It just tends to be more focused in the teaching regularly in animation, or at least it was back then. Once I realized I was a shape artist, I started excelling, where my work wasn't about being illustrative. It wasn't trying to be the Mark Silvestri or the David Finch. It was more cartoony. Once I accepted that, I actually started having a lot more fun creating art. Fix this lighting a little. Sorry, hit the camera again. Hey, Metatron's Cube. I see you there. All right, you guys are gonna hear me taking off my sweatshirt. Don't get too excited, that's all it is. Still fully clothed. But you know how it is, once you start inking, whew, it starts getting hot in the room. All right, let's do these eyes. Want these lines to be clean, so I'm whipping them. Little fuzzies there, let's get rid of those. All right, let's do the bloopity bloop of the eye here. Bloopity bloops of the eye, where your tear ducts rest. How I learned to figure out my eye style was actually just drawing with pen in a sketchbook. Kind of figuring out, like, how do I draw eyes when I'm not laying it out with pencil first? And I kind of take a look at what I liked about that and what I didn't, and I would adjust when I penciled. All right, we're not going to give him too heavy of an under eyelid, but we're going to go kind of heavy where the eyelashes will be, because he'll have a few eyelashes. You don't want to go full on sexy female eyelashes with the kid, but you want to give him some, because it kind of adds the youthfulness to them. And these lines here are actually sort of where the skull is. Sometimes you don't think about how prominent that is on a character. And I sort of figured out how to do my style of this from looking at John Romita's pieces. Sorry, that is part of the paper here, or the sketch cover hitting the edge of my desk. Trying to quiet that. All right, there we go. Now let's get these eyebrows in there. So some people don't like to outline the eyebrows. I like to do sort of a broken line outline to make sure I've got the shape right, and then I'll go in with and do the hairs sort of loose and around that. And Billy's he's not super well groomed, so his eyelashes can be a little unkempt. You don't want him to be like big old homeless guy, like flurry eyebrows, but you don't want them to look too manicured either. And kind of break up from where the hair crosses over. I'm gonna give a few more hairs there, so it's not so much of a tangent. There's bangs coming through there. All right, there we go. Let's see, Peter Samedi said, pen in a sketchbook is a great way to get good at drawing. Yes, excellent way to get good at drawing. I used to actually carry around 2 sketchbooks, or carry around. When I traveled, I had them, but they're mostly in my room. I used to have 2 sketchbooks, and one would be for drawing in, and one would be for drawing in with just pen. And yeah, you'd be surprised what kind of stuff you can pull off with just pen once you get good at it, and how much of your style develops that way. Let's see, Patrick Parnell, yes, with Johnny Phantasm, always talks about being a shape-based artist too. Yeah, he very much is that way. Like I would say he leans towards being more the Sal Buscema than a John Buscema, which I do as well. And Patrick's also, or he was a teacher. I think he's still teaching. He was talking about quitting. But as a teacher, he's probably teaching different methods and stuff. So he's probably got a great way to explain his methods. All right, what do we got here? We're gonna do the eyes now. I think I'm gonna freehand them, but actually first I'm gonna do the shadows in his ears. And in a minute, I'll be doing another pass through the comments. I may miss some stuff. Bear with. There's one ear down. All right, let's get this second one that's on a heavier shadow side. Yeah, I missed the latest Johnny Phantasm. I have the first batch. I haven't looked to see if he's going in demand. I was hoping he was. I really wanted that Michael Golden cover. Man, that looks sweet. You know what? I'm gonna whip out the template really quick. I know I said I was gonna be brave and brave and use the brush, but I want these to look sharp, so we're gonna go in and freehand the pupils. You know, I'm gonna work a little backwards right now, just because of the way I sketch these out. All right, we're looking at a 5/16. Go thin on the top. We can push a little heavier on the bottom. Come over here, do the same thing. Make sure they're lined up. There we go. Alrighty. Templates ahoy, templates away. All right. Highlight. Highlight. Pupil. 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 Now we're going to fill that in while we're here so we don't have to come back, because that's a quick, easy fill there. Now, this highlight is going to reflect across the pupil and bring sort of a conical shape highlight to this part of the iris. So I'm going to go black around there and then do some light rendering to sort of represent the muscles in the eye as they lighten up. And again, this will bring dimension to a piece. That's what I'm always saying, because we're working in 2 dimensions with dementia. And we're trying to make it look like a 3-dimensional object. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Those look good. Then we can do some little bits of eyelash on him. We'll do like 3 or 4 little quick whips there. Let's say 1, 2, 3. We'll go heavy there. I did 4 over there. Let's do 4 over here. All right, I think I need to bring a little balance here. A little heavy here, so the eyes are a little more same size. It was a little open there, a little closed there. Now that works. Let's do this bit of rendering over the nose. That's sort of where the straight part of the nose comes out for the butt end of his nose. And I am going to add one more bit of rendering here, sort of that edge of the nose where it goes under. Got a little rendering here. I'm really excited to get to the beanie. It's going to be some repetitive lines, but that's how it goes. All right. Oh, and I have a little butt to his chin that Captain Marvel's also going to have. And a little rendering here. Yeah, he's going to be saying something super smart ass to the wizard. Something about not getting his toga in a bunch or something. Because the wizard's going to be yelling at him about saying the magic word. So these are Freckles. When you do Freckles, I found that you don't have to do a whole face to imply that someone's freckly. And also the freckles imply a little bit of youth. I might have done too many. Damn it. Hey, Batman. Hey, Batfam. Oh, hey. What's up? What's up, Michelle? What's up, Viwat? I see Ken from Viwat. If you see Ken from Viwat in the chat there, folks, he is one of my favorite guitarists. He's Ken from the band Viwat in Japan. We're close friends with them. We played with them when we went there, and we are going to play with them next year when we go back. They are sort of an electro punk band. It's always a little hard to describe because they're very versatile too, but go check them out on YouTube. They got a YouTube channel. They got music videos. Freckles will find. Yeah, I think you're right. It's because I'm super close up, so I'm just seeing the what is it? I can't see the dots for the face, something like that. Thank you, Metatron. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of sort of rendering, little bleeds, little zigzags here. This is a beanie. It's knit. It's fuzzy. It's made of wool. And we're gonna sort of do that to break up the sort of bunches around this this part of the beanie. And then when we do the top part, we're going to do tighter little zigzags and rows that sort of represent a different knit pattern, which is what happens with beanies. There's usually one knit pattern for this foldy part and then another up here. Using the good old Zebra Sensations brush marker. Making our way through this bad boy. Probably going to be going about 20 more minutes, maybe 10 or 20, I don't know. My coffee's kicked in, so ready to go. If you haven't checked out Hammerella, I do have a link in the description below. We got 25 days left. Feel free to go check that out. We got some cool perks. The book has been expanded to now have 64 pages. We are going to be adding a Dean Kotz story that was originally published in It Came Out on Wednesday, number 8. And then we're going to have 5 additional never before seen pages of art by Dean that I'm really excited about. And then I will be drawing the 48 plus pages of Hammerella. And before we go, I'll show you some of the pencils I'm working on from the page I was working on tonight. I'm going to get back to it later and hopefully have that new Hammerella page up and shareable tomorrow. All right, let's see. William C. says, Ryan, have you seen the Teenage Engineering Pocket Operators? Seems like some gear you would like. I'm going to write that down right now. I have not. I don't even know what that is. It sounds cool. Pocket Operators. Awesome. I'm going to check that out. They just released a Street Fighter model and a Mega Man one is coming soon. All little handheld synths. Oh. Oops. I see. Oh, Colin's one of my favorites. Already backed it twice. No, I'm definitely going to check that out. I'm not familiar with that. That's what I love. I take so many notes. I end up going down all kinds of rabbit holes with the suggestions I get from people sometimes, which is actually more fun than going down my own stupid rabbit holes. All right, so like I said, this is the knit pattern on the beanie. Just doing little zigzaggy lines back and forth just to represent different pattern than the below part. And it fades out as we move to the top. Again, just giving us a little bit of dimension on a flat drawing. Thank you, Ty, for throwing in a link. Yeah, I'm curious about those synths now. I can't say the word right now. I often complain about how weird it is to talk, to speak clearly sometimes. L's tend to be hard because my head is facing down, like my face is towards the table. So I don't know if it's like a stupid fat tongue just wants to hang in the front of my mouth, but L's are hard to pull off. At this angle, I got to pull my head up right. L, and then I can do it. Woe is me, guys. Woe is the life of the inking. Having trouble with his L's. Man, that went a lot faster than I thought it was going to. But you can see it kind of gives a different texture, a different effect. And you know what? I'm actually going to do little bits that stick off the side. Not too much. I don't want it to feel like fur. That way it feels a little more like a wool cap with those little hairs sticking off the end. Yep, I like that. I like it a lot. All right, we're gonna give it, excuse me, we're gonna give it one more pass. Then I think we're gonna call it for the night. It's been an hour. That's a good amount to go, I think. So we'll take a look at this, and I'm gonna take a quick stroll down chat lane and see what the chat's gotta say. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. Thank you all for stopping by too. Make sure, even if you're just stopping by to say hi, hit that like, baby. Do you speak Japanese, Ryan? My friends have tried to teach me some, but I'm not smart enough. Osu otu ganai de, ganai de. No, I do a little bit, but it's all. I was gonna fake it there. I only do a couple things to get around town, and then the lyrics that I've had to sing in Japanese. I did know more when I was there, like at the time, because we were studying up. But that was a couple years ago, and I've sadly haven't kept up on my studies. Colin's got a synth. Core DS10. All right, Metatron's Cube. My room is comics, manga, synthesizers, and art equipment, but the synths are taking over. Some are just too big. That sounds like a rad room. That's yeah, my room is art supplies, my computer and stuff, which I wish kind of was in a different room. And I do have my music. Right now I have a table set up that I've got my I don't know, the custom action figures I've been working on. I've got a Divinity custom action figure I've been working on. I've got that set up over there. I think Friday I'm going to do a video where I show that stuff off. Ryan song lyrics in Japanese, yes. There is very much a limit to my talents. I'm a fake it. I'm not a fake it till you make it. I'm a fake it until no one notices you're faking it kind of guy. All right, we've got people uniting over synth in the chat. I love it. All right, everybody, let's see. Oh, I said I would show you the Hammerella page. I was about to bail, and I know that I would get it for that. So I was working on the Hammerella page in Procreate, taking snapshots from my sketchbook, and this is going to be pretty loose, but let's see if it makes sense to you guys. Panel 1 is this really tall, skinny panel where you can't really see much of anything right now. I'm still working that out. But this is young Hammerella getting dropped into the nest of the Emberhawk for her fledglings to eat her up. So this is what my pencils basically look like. Again, all done in Procreate. So these foreground things are going to be the legs of the chicks. You're going to have young Hammerella reaching for a stick, and that's going to be the stick that she fights with for the next few years. And it's going to be an important part of her weaponry. We're going to have these two really scary, gross-looking Emberhawk chicks screaming. They're going to attack her. She's going to fight one of them off. The other one's going to clamp down on her arm. She's going to swing that one off with the stick. That's going to really piss off the mother Emberhawk. It's going to screech at her there. Hammerella's going to take off with them chasing her. She's going to dive out of the nest atop this giant stone pillar. And then more action ensues. So this is going to be fun. I'm hoping to at least get the pencils and inks done tonight, and then maybe I can color it live tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, tomorrow midday, something like that. Which pose you like? The jumping out? I didn't know if I should have the legs pointed back more, but I kind of like that it's the moment right before she goes into a full dive. I was also, I don't know, I was just really happy with this panel. They're going to have these like kind of freaky circular eyes that are kind of gross. The jump. Yeah, the jump took some time. That was probably the longest part on the page. Even just figuring out the angle of this, the angle of the bird, which I might still tilt this wing up and this wing down. And I might make her, I'm debating making her bigger and breaking the panel, which I usually don't do, but in this instance, I think it would work. I'm also debating bringing this all the way down, basically dropping the panel border on this one and having this come all the way down to the page, and then I can make her a little bigger too. That will also create more breathing room on the page, because this is one of my tighter pages. I'm going to have pages like this that are kind of tight. They're still breathable, but they're tight as far as panels. The page after this is going to be like 3 big panels. And then the page after that is one you guys have seen. Let me see if I've got it here in my gallery. I think I already moved it. Here, we'll go to my gallery. Anyone that's still here, you can still see this. All right, let me see. I've got to have it nearby. I just cleaned off a bunch of this stuff. Here we go. So there's a page between the one I just showed you and this one, where her powers engage and this black smoke shows up. And the bird is chasing her as she falls. Here she hits the water. The bird goes whoosh. Oh, whoops. I forgot I can't touch the screen. She goes under, comes up, bird flies away, steaming up a bunch of water. She looks on in slight fear and realization of how lucky she was. So again, this page gets busy, but it's still breathable. I don't go heavy on some of the backgrounds because I want it to be easy to read on the eyes and stuff like that. So anyways, that's it for the night. Let's go back and we'll just do one last peek at our work here. Billy Batson. It's actually tons of fun. Oh no. Okay, I lied. I'm gonna make a snarky comment. So Hammerella has to beat off chicks with a stick, huh? Ha ha ha. I'll show myself out. All right, that was good. And you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to stay, even though Simonin says you're abusing that wrench. Oh my God, he's abusing us with that wrench. But he made up for it. He shared some links, and we got some laughs out of him. So good job, Ty. Great job at selling the motion in the colored page. Thank you, Colin. Yeah, I was telling a friend today, it's do or die on these pages. Each one I'm pushing myself, pushing the storytelling and pushing the fun aspect of reading a comic, like making it fun for the reader to look at the page and to follow the action. And you know, things like this where she hits the water here, and then this panel she's coming up where it's almost a united image. You know, things like that I think are fun. I want that spanner. All right, gang. Stickerella. I keep wanting to say bye, and then you guys keep making me laugh. Yes, birds attack. All right, so we are going to get going. I will be back tomorrow during the day sometime to work on that Hammerella page. I will be back tomorrow night to start work on our second half. Maybe we'll get the Shazam, Lightning, and the captain himself done. We'll see how far we can get. Maybe I'll do part of this beforehand so we can just jump ahead right to that. Either way, I want you guys to take care of yourselves. I want you to take care of each other, and I want you to take it easy. All right? So long.